A quick overview of the tool. As you can see, it runs in the web browser here. And later on, when you are having an application under test, it will basically show up as another browser window. So it's basically one browser window controlling another browser window. So let's start with what we're seeing on the left. I will not go into all these things in detail. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction of what's to come, okay? So the first thing would be looking at this main one up here, okay? This one is simply where we would create test and record and create modules and create tests inside the module. So this is basically where we're doing 95% of all our work in this top icon here, okay? We have navigation icons here, back and forth. Same as like a web browser, it allows us to navigate very quickly between different basically steps. So when we navigate, we can go back and forward. Down here, we have something called components. This is something we will not use throughout this tutorial. It's super useful. It's like if you have a date picker or something like this, you can record a specific component and kind of create a reusable building block. We have bugs as well. This is usually used for visual bugs and annotation. We will touch on this very briefly. Known issues. This is something we will not touch in this tutorial. This is when you have a bug and you're running it on a CA server, this big test automation suite. You can say that this error maps to this known error I have in my other bug system, and it allows you to map issues when you have enterprise use. The reports, we will use this a lot after a test is being run. The report will show up here. You have your team, you can have many team members, and you can collaborate directly in the browser. Everything is connected with WebSockets. So this is also something that is great when you're working a couple of people, but because of course this is kind of a solo exercise we're doing, so we're not going to spend a lot of time here. CI, we will go briefly into this. This is basically all our integrations to the CI servers. And of course, there's a lot to talk about here, but we're not gonna go very deep into this either. Settings. This is interesting. This is where you can see your environments. You have some advanced settings for content policy and dictionaries. You can go even deeper into the AI functionality where you can define different element definitions and integration. But again, a lot of this stuff is advanced stuff. We might touch this briefly, but again, not so useful for this introduction. One note that is interesting would be this little question mark. If you have a problem, you can hit it and you can get this kind of explanation by hitting any of these highlighted buttons, and that goes for inside the tool as well. And in order to disengage this help, you'll just unclick it right here. So basically, just go back here. A little note, if you are working on a lot of tests, we actually have tabs, just like an IDE. We basically base this on like a Visual Studio Code, but in the browser, so you can basically have several tabs and navigate between them. For instance, this is my bug tab, and this is my home tab, and I can work with this simultaneously and switch between the tabs. Also, inside, we also have tabs within a test. So you have different aspects of a test being reflected in these tabs in here. So there's quite a bit to play around with, but after a while, it really speeds up test authoring. So as soon as you get used to it, it starts making sense.